welcome to BadgerBeat.com. Rob Hernandez here at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. It's time for the Badger Breakdown from the Badgers' 34-31 overtime victory against Auburn in the 2015 Outback Bowl. With an assist from Jim Polzine back in Madison, we start first by handing out our game ball. We give it to a guy who's gotten a lot of game balls this season, Melvin Gordon. All he does today is rush for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns, finishing it the season with 2,587 yards. That's the second best output for a single season in FBS history, behind only Barry Sanders. And I tell you what, Melvin Gordon phenomenal here this afternoon, as he was Mr. Offense, especially in the second half when the Badgers tried to chew up some clock and had to rally on the ground after some inefficiencies in the passing game that we'll talk about here in a minute. But Melvin Gordon, once again, getting the game ball. We may have to retire that honor in his name and start handing out the Melvin Gordon Award next year. But for now, it's the game ball, and it goes to Melvin Gordon. Thumbs up and thumbs down. We start first with the thumbs up to the UW coaching staff. Barry Alvarez was the coach who got the Gatorade shower at the end of this game, but that could have gone to any of the 9 assistants working under him under some very unusual circumstances following the departure of Gary Anderson to Oregon State after the Big Ten championship game. Both sides of the football had solid game plans in place, and by all accounts and by all appearances, the Badger coaches, some of whom will not be back under the new coaching staff of Paul Chryst, handled themselves professionally and efficiently in preparing for the high-powered Auburn Tigers, as the Badgers looked real solid in executing that game plan here today at Raymond James Stadium. Thumbs down, got to give it to Joel Stavy today. Unfortunately, the Badger quarterback, 51.9% completion percentage, and of those passes he completed, he averaged just 4.5 yards per completion. He threw 3 interceptions today, which could have loomed very costly. The Badgers managed to win despite that, but it was that kind of year for the Badger quarterbacks. 16 interceptions, the worst total or the highest total since 1986, when the Badgers threw 20 picks. And Paul Chryst, known as a miracle worker, if you will, with quarterbacks, is going to have his work cut out for him, whether it's with Joel Stavy, whether it's with Tanner McAvoy, who saw just spot action at quarterback today, DJ Gillens, or if Bart Houston gets a second chance, who knows? And of course, there's help coming in at the quarterback position too in this recruiting class, so we'll see exactly what direction Paul Chryst goes. But for today, the thumbs down goes to Joel Stavy. Time to check out how the fans see this big victory, and others as the Badgers come away from Tampa with a big bowl win, their first in 4 years, and their first with this graduating senior class. How do the Badgers see it? Tell you what, the Badgers see it that they needed to get a win to get the taste out of their mouth from that awful loss in the Big Ten championship game to Ohio State. And after basically a month of preparation, they get the job done today. And in the process, they score for everybody that goes to Outback Steakhouse a round of coconut shrimp tomorrow on Friday. And they may just partake in that as well, as they wash away once and for all that lopsided loss to the Buckeyes in Indianapolis just about a month ago. So that's how the Badgers see it. How do the fans see it? Tell you what, sum it up in 4 words. We'll miss you, Melvin. Melvin Gordon is going to be a hard person to replace on this Badger football team. I know that Corey Clement told me after the game that he, in rushing for more than 100 yards today too, wanted to make a statement that he's ready to step into Melvin Gordon's shoes. But right now, it looks like he'll be able to do it. He's going to need some help, as Melvin Gordon had with Corey Clement behind him. But right now, I think the fans are going to say, after watching yet another virtuoso performance here by Melvin Gordon, they're just going to miss number 25. And I think by this time next year, he'll be wrapping up a very productive year as a rookie in the NFL. And finally, how do the pollsters see it? Tell you what, 11 wins by the Badgers this season, nothing to sneeze at there, and especially with one coming here on New Year's Day. And in convincing fashion, being able to hang with a high-powered Auburn team from the SEC, I think the pollsters will look at it as being a good day's work for the Badgers, and probably a victory that was solid enough to move the Badgers up a couple spots in the final AP poll when that is released. Well, that's our Badger Breakdown, the final one of the 2014-15 college football season. Thanks for joining us here on BadgerBeat.com. Thanks to Jim Polzine for his help on the breakdown all season long, and again here from Madison. And we appreciate you watching. and see you again next season.